Fasnacht starts tomorrow, and with it brings a ton of new changes. If you AFK, this is definitely a video for you, and if you're against AFKers, this is also a video for you because it could affect you in different ways. Let's dive into it. We're going to be covering the new rules and the new masks that are coming in this update. If you're new here, you're probably wondering what Fasnacht is, so let's get into that real quick. If not, you guys can, fast forward. Anyway, Fasnacht is an in-real-life event that happens every year in Helvetia, West Virginia. And because of that, Bethesda decided to adapt it into the game. So this is based in real-life tradition. The real-life Fasnacht just happened February 14th, which is this past weekend. I went. It was a ton of fun. If you're ever interested, you should definitely go. It is so cold, though. Anyway, let's get into our event in Fallout 76. So the basis for this event is the fact that you're supposed to be scaring away Old Man Winter. So you dress up in masks. They're usually made of paper mache. And then you're just supposed to consume fatty foods, alcohol, and then, dance the night away, basically. And then you're supposed to burn Old Man Winter traditionally over a bonfire. And that's what happens in this parade, except there was no humans, so robots took over instead. So in order to get the robots to their marching positions, you do have to complete a bunch of little tasks, which I will not be getting into this video. I do have a guide for that. But you get them into position, and then they start to march, and then you just need to protect them from rad toads, super mutants, and then from a boss at the very end of the march. Afterwards, you will then burn Old Man Winter. So what's the big fuss over Fasnacht? Well, they drop these rare masks, and I'm talking rare. The drop rate on these guys are 0.22%, and the loot pool is so over diluted. It has so many different masks in it. It's ridiculous. They took out over half the mask this last Fasnacht, but it still hasn't helped if you got all the other masks and you're just trying to get the new ones. The chances of you getting them are slim to none, so lots of players took up AFKing. If you're not familiar with what AFKing means, that means away from keyboard, which means that you're not playing the game. Other players sometimes just walk away for a couple minutes because they got real life things to take care of. They got to cook lunch. They got to take care of their kids. They got to do all those other things. Anyway, loads of players get upset about the fact that players are AFKing. Now, I know that doesn't sound that bad, but the thing is most of the time towards the end of the 2 weeks of Fasnacht, the servers are nothing but AFKers because everybody still wants this mask, but nobody wants to play the event. And that is the sad truth of the thing. A lot of players even bring in mules to play the event just so that way they can have a higher chance of getting a Fasnacht mask. I get the anger and the frustration towards AFKers because you're running the entire event and then somebody else is basically collecting rewards on your behalf for all your hard work. At the same time, I also understand the AFKers and the fact that the masks are so rare. I definitely see both sides of the argument. However, Bethesda's trying to cut back on AFKers by introducing some new rules to Fasnacht, so let's dive into those. Normally, when you get your mask, you get it because you've completed the event. This no longer applies. You don't really need to complete the event to get a mask, you just need to loot the body of the last bad guy. So, for all of you guys that are new to Fasnacht, right at the end of the event, there is a legendary boss that pops out. It is usually a 1-star legendary boss. It can be anything from a super mutant behemoth to a legendary sheep squatch to a Yalgwa. Anyway, there is a ton of different enemies that can actually be the boss, but now you'll need to go over and loot the body instead of just lighting the fire and showing up at the end. So why is that the case? Well, they kind of test drove this back when they did the event with Invaders from Beyond, where the weekend that they had, you get a legendary glowing mask from the last enemy that drops. Basically, you go over, you loot the body, you got a legendary mask. Anyway, a glowing mask. Anyhow, they kind of test drove that, and that's what I said during the live stream that I did, is that, hey, this is not for no reason. They're test driving this for Fasnacht. I said they're not going to have any AFKing in Fasnacht this year, and I was right. So how is this going to affect AFKers? Well, if you're AFKing your sleep the entire time, you're definitely going to miss out on those legendary drops because you're not going to be getting any type of Fasnacht mask because there is no reward of a Fasnacht mask for completing the event. You have to loot that boss in order to get your Fasnacht mask. So will this actually deter AFKers? Probably not. They'll probably stay AFK at the event and then pop over to see the event after it's done and then loot the body. Now, why would I say something like that? Well, let me tell you. Thanks to some hardworking data miners like Sugar Bomb Rads and Kate Duchess Flames, we now know the rules of engagement for Fasnacht. And the rules state that you do not need to tag the last legendary boss in order to loot the body. It didn't say that you need to even be on a team in order to loot the body. Basically, you just need to be there in order to loot the body. The event also needs to be successful, and in the eyes of the game, successful means that one robot survives. So keep one robot alive and be there when the boss goes down, and you should be good to go. All this sounds good and fine, except for the fact that loads of people play on older systems, and the game is not so stable. Fasnacht in general makes the servers unstable, and loads of players that play on older consoles can tell you this. They just get kicked from the event constantly, and they're not able to even complete it. So the fact that you need to be there, like how long do you need to be in the event in order to loot the body? If you load back in after the event is done, can you still loot the body? Like, those are questions that people need to ask. Like, if this is going to allow you to loot the body if you get kicked from the server before the event is complete and you can still come back and loot the body like you sometimes can with like the Scorch Beast Queen, then that would be good and well. However, if you get booted right in the middle of the event, like during the Super Mutants, that seems to be the time when loads of players get booted. If you load back in, a lot of times it won't allow you to load back in until after the event is completed. If that's the case, are you going to be able to loot the body? I mean, that's a huge issue in my opinion. I guess we'll find out tomorrow. I'm looking forward to trying to pick this apart and figure out how it's going to actually work. And as you guys figure it out, I'd love for you guys to drop your comments of your experience down in the comments section so that way other people can actually see what's going on as well. And don't forget that you need to be reporting all your issues to Bethesda as this happens. The other thing I want to know is where do you need to be at in order to actually loot the body? Do you need to be standing where the enemy is? Or like, can you be still like looting bodies over where the super mutants are at, or do you need to be over there closer to where the legendary boss actually spawns in at? The other thing I'm kind of interested in is the fact that when we looted the body previously for Invaders from Beyond, we got a glowing mask, period. So it was just a glowing mask they got. So are they going to be giving us just glowing masks from the legendary bosses, or is it going to be something entirely different? Like, are we going to actually be getting them based on how successful the event was, like it used to be, or is it going to be different? I feel like this update has caused more questions than answers, in my opinion. I also need to know, because if I'm going to try to hop servers, in case you haven't tried to do that recently, when you try to hop servers, a lot of times it freezes you out until it's at the end of the event. And that means that you possibly could miss that boss, even though you would have loaded in time to actually participate in killing him. And if that's the case, you load in right at the end, are you going to be able to loot the body and get that mask, or are you not? Is it going to be because you weren't in the event long enough, or is it going to be because you weren't close enough to where the end boss died at? Like, how is this going to work? Like, that's the thing I need to know. Like, I need to know, what proximity do you need to be to the end boss? How long do you need to be in the event for it to count, since you're not actually tagging the enemy and you're not part of a team? Like, tell me how this is going to work. I really need to know all the things. In case you were wondering, they did introduce some new masks. Thank God they didn't introduce like 6 or 5 or however many they introduced the last couple times, where we've gotten a ton. We've just getting 2 brand new glowing masks and 2 regular masks that are non-glowing. And as far as I know, glowing masks are the only rare mask now, except for the Father Winter helmet that is a power armor helmet, which still cannot be traded. The pictures of the mask were provided by Sugar Bomb Rads, who is a data miner, so go give him a follow over on X. The name of the mask are the glowing bonehead mask, the regular bonehead mask, the glowing captain mask, and the regular captain mask. So just to recap, you no longer need to complete the event, you just need to loot the body in order to get a mask. I'm assuming that we'll be getting any type of mask based off of the normal drop rates if one robot is left alive. Some of the questions that I have: how long do you need to be in the area? How long do you need to be in the event? Where in the general vicinity do you need to be in order to actually loot the body of the last legendary boss? If you get kicked from the event when you go back in, are you going to be able to loot the boss if you're on a team and that team is still in that server? Are you going to be able to actually hop to another server to complete an event again? Or are they going to be freezing us out and not allowing us to do that? I'll be going live on Tuesday right around noon, probably closer to 1 p.m. because I do want to do the Atomic Shop. But at that point, I will be trying to figure all this stuff out as I go along, and I'll be on Xbox and PC throughout the day. So stop by and say hello and see how far we've gotten. Good luck getting your mask, guys, and I'll see you in the wasteland. Bye!